there's a difference between, and I just like to use the Dungeons and Dragons analogy, there's a difference between a writer and a dungeon master. Moffat is an extremely good writer. He wrote some of the best episodes of Doctor Who, and he has a wonderful grasp of dialogue, setting, characterization. His idea of metaplot is kind of like this. I actually didn't like the resolution last season. I thought it was kind of too much Deus Ex Machina and too much I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. Now then you look at Davies on the other hand. Davies is an okay writer, but his grasp of metaplot, I mean, he started Bad Wolf in season 1, and Bad Wolf went through the entire series. And that's kind of like, Davies and Moffat made a very good team because Moffat could write the episodes, Davies could get the plot, and you got what you got was season 4, as far as I'm concerned, was flawless. It was amazing. I would never had a dull moment in season 4. Season 5, I'm kind of like, eh. Season 6, no spoilers, season 6.
Yeah, no spoilers, because there are a couple people that I know in this room that have not seen the end of the first half season, so we can't. I see people covering their ears, that's fine.
A little bit, but then like by the end, by this mid-season finale, I was like, okay, dude, you redeemed yourself.
If I may politely disagree. Well, and I do, and I totally agree with you, and you know, and I'm gonna, you know, and this is having gone back and watched all of Tennant's and Eccleston's repeatedly because I think it's great stuff. But for me personally, and I do realize this is really just a matter of personal taste. I much prefer the season enders for all of Moffat stuff, or well, for the last season and where this one is going, more than the only season finale I like of Davies stuff is Bad Wolf.
Yeah.
After that, the feeling I get.
You didn't like the 2 Daleks wiping out the entire Cyberman Legion?
You know, that was fun, but there's this wonderful, very good friend of mine who's also a big Doctor Who fan. There was too much of what he called Jesus Doctor. Like where Tennant's Doctor would just suddenly have this wonderful power. And what I really love about Matt Smith's, you know, take on it, which has always been what I loved about the classic series, is the Doctor never gets out of a tight spot or saves the world, or at least very rarely does it with some, you know, unrevealed power that just suddenly happens to emerge. Like, oh wow, so if everyone in the world believes in the Doctor, you know, fab if you believe in fairies, and suddenly he's this. That was kind of, and as much as I love Davies, it's so hard to talk bad about him because he also wrote some of them. I mean, there are wonderful episodes and everything. I mean, Midnight is fantastic.
The silence in the library.
The silence in the library. And again, that's great. You know, I mean, those are some of the best. I mean, the girl in the fireplace. For the love of God, the girl in the fireplace. But as far as just going back and watching the seasons as a whole, the only one that really, for me, has nothing but strong episodes from beginning to end, and where the meta plot works beautifully, is the first one, was Eccleston's. After that, I feel that Davies found that Bad Wolf formula and tried to implement it every time, but every time it got a little more rickety, and so by the end of it, you were kind of like, I started feeling, and again, this is not to down it, to diss it, because I still love them, but I felt compared to, say, like the season ending for the last one, that everything else, Davies would just kind of sort of throw everything at the wall to see what would stick. Well, let's bring everybody back.
That's what he did.
And that's what, and it's kind of disappointing because you get so many characters that are just there, so you can be like, oh, that's so and so, but then they have nothing to do.
It's interesting to hear them talk about it because originally they didn't know that they were going to get Catherine Tate for the companion. They thought they were going to have another companion. So, former Prime Minister Harry Jones. I knew there was Jones. I couldn't remember Harry. Do you know originally, in where he had plotted that character was not supposed to be Harriet Jones. It was supposed to be Donna Noble. That she had become so obsessed with the Doctor, she had created this network. And then they got her as a companion, and they're like, well, what are we going to do? Well, let's see if we can bring Harriet Jones back. Because she's a very busy working actor in London. They're like, well, maybe we can get her back just for this. And so it's interesting to see the way he would arrange and rearrange stuff to base on shooting schedule and things like that, because it was originally, that was supposed to be Donna. Yeah.
That's really interesting.
I watch all of the commentaries, sorry. I'm a commentary junkie.
And going back briefly to what we said earlier, some people that have not really, you know, grokked Matt Smith just yet, and maybe never will, I absolutely adore Tennant. Let me get that out. Tennant is wonderful. Tennant deserves to go to heaven for his performance as the Doctor. He's just an amazing actor. He's really something special, and it's really wonderful to see how seriously he took it, how gracious he was with the role, and how much fun he had. I mean, he made the Doctor so much fun, which we needed after Eccleston. Eccleston was wonderful as well, but it was a very different kind of Doctor because, as you mentioned, he kind of had post-traumatic stress disorder. So it was nice to have a Doctor that had a little less of that and was a little more the old style, you know, almost impish trickster figure that we've come to know know and love. For me personally, Matt Smith is shaping up to be so far my favorite of the newer Doctors, because in a weird way that it is really hard to kind of pinpoint, he is channeling so many of the other Doctors when he performs. There are times, there's a moment when I'm like, oh my god, that is such a Troughton move. Like, that is absolutely a Troughton move. Or that's a Pertwee moment, or that's a McCoy moment.
Yes.
I mean, he's really, but it's never mimicry, it's never just, you know, it's never just him going, look, remember me? He's so subtle about it. He's really wonderful. He's every bit the actor David Tennant is. And it's just wonderful to see what he does with it.
One thing that I love is the end of the first episode of Smith's first episode.
Oh, you mean where you see all the doctors?
Where you see every single one of the doctors, including McGann, and then he stepped through. Yeah, go ahead.
First off, I want to show you guys this. Just a minute, just a little bit of it.